Hello children. Today we are going to continue about other modes of nutrition. Children, we are now going to learn about those plants which do not have chlorophyll and cannot synthesize their food on their own. Just think about how do they survive and from where do they derive nutrients. As we have already learned in the previous modules that these plants derive food from other plants. This type or this mode of nutrition is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. The plants in which this kind or mode of nutrition is found is known as heterotrophs. There are four types of heterotrophic nutrition. First one is parasitic plants, second one is saprophytic plants, third one is symbiotic plants, and the last one is insectivorous plants. We are going to discuss them one by one. Children, now let us start with parasitic plant. As you know, some plants which do not have chlorophyll cannot synthesize their own food material. They adopt themselves heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In parasitic nutrition, the parasitic plants obtain its food from the other plant known as host, and the parasitic plant which depend on host is known as parasite. Some of the parasites may harm the host plant. In certain cases, the host plant die because of less nutrients for them. Parasites live in close relationship with the host. For example, Kuta. In Hindi, we call it as amarbel. It looks yellow in color. It doesn't have chlorophyll also. Let's see how Kuta looks like. Children, here you can see a figure of Kuta. As you can see here, the yellow color thread-like structure on a well-grown tree. You can see that the tree is completely overshadowed by this long thread-like structure. This thread-like structure is nothing but Kuta or amarbel. Kuta or amarbel is a plant parasite with no leaves and roots. It derives its nutrition from the plant on which it climbs. As it does not have leaves, it does not conduct photosynthesis also. No roots, so it is not deriving anything from the ground also. It is completely, that means it is completely depend upon the host plant, as you can see in the picture. Children, next in line is Rafflesia annuldia. This is its scientific name, but commonly it is known as Rafflesia. You can see this flower. It has a small opening in the face and big petals on the side. This flower is mostly found in Malaysia and Indonesia. This is a very giant flower. When it blossoms, when it matures, its diameter is almost 1 meter. If I'll talk about its weight, it is almost up to the 11 kg weight. That means 24 pounds. This also performs parasitic type of nutrition. That means it depends on its host. Basically, it is dependent upon the nearby plants and it sticks itself to the roots of the other plants. Let's talk about the fragrance of it. Its fragrance is always fleshy because of continuous intake of nutrient from other plants or neighboring plants. It is also an parasitic plant. Children, You must have seen packets of mushroom sold in the vegetable market. If you have opened it, you must have realized it is quite fluffy. If you look at it, its structure will be umbrella-like, and there are moist patches on it. There is one more example which I would like to give you about the bread. If you'll soak a bread, keep it for 2 to 3 days, you'll find that the bread has become soft. If you'll pick it up, it will break into pieces. Why it will break into pieces? Children, saprophytes. I'm talking about saprophytes. These saprophytes are the organisms without chlorophyll, like fungi, which I just now mentioned, and have different modes of nutrition. These organisms are called as saprophytes as they feed on dead and decaying matter. Dead and decaying, like the bread. It was decaying after 2-3 days. It was moist. And their mode of nutrition is known as saprophytic mode of nutrition. Children, here I'm talking about the saprophytic nutrition of fungi. What it involves? It involves the conversion of dead and decaying matter into solution. Like the bread which we saw, it was decaying, and the fungi converts into a solution. And these solutions act as a nutrients for them. They absorb the nutrient from the solution. Now third in line is symbiotic relationship or symbiotic plants. It is a relationship between two organisms in which both the organisms are benefited. If I'll talk about fungi or fungi living in the roots of trees, forms a symbiotic relationship with trees. As you know, trees can do photosynthesis. They can take water along with the nutrients from the soil. Those nutrients is utilized by the fungus. And fungus helps the trees to take up water and minerals from the soil. As you can see in the picture also, there is a symbiotic relationship between the fungus and the tree, and the fungus and the nearby plants. In this type of nutrition, we need to talk about lichen also. What are lichens? It is basically the association between algae and fungi. You can also say that fungi has a partner or fungal partner. Fungal partner absorbs minerals, whereas algal partner prepares food by photosynthesis. I have mentioned this before also, that algae is green in color and it can do photosynthesis. So in this lichen, the algae has become a partner to fungi. In this, algae act as chlorophyll containing partner, and fungus does not contain chlorophyll. As you can see here, the symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi. You can call it as lichen. So what does alga provide? Alga provide food to the fungus prepared by photosynthesis, and in return to that, fungus provides shelter, water, and minerals to it. So the last one is insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants, those plants which depends upon the insect. Now question arises, can plant eat insects? Of course, plants can eat insect. The reason is very simple. There are certain areas on earth where plants does not get complete nutrition. For that reason, plant has modified its structure into something else. Here, in case of insectivorous plants, plant has modified its leaf. Let's see what it is. As you can see, some plants are not able to get nitrogen from the soil as they grow in a nitrogen deficient soil. These plants trap insects and digest them to get nitrogen, hence called as insectivorous plants. For example, pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, sundew, etc. Pitcher plant-like structure is a modified part of a leaf with the lead at the apex of opening and closing of mouth. It has digestive juices inside that leaf in which a insect falls and get digested. Downward directed here in the pitcher plant is present to trap the insect. So children, this is our pitcher plant. You can see that there is a cylindrical structure and a lead on the top, and the digestive juices is inside the cylindrical structure which digest the insect. The next one is Venus flytrap. As soon as the insect comes between the two flaps, it gets stuck in the liquid and Venus fly trap catches that insect and digests that insect. Once it has finished digesting that insect, it again opens up. The last one is sundew. The name itself says that it has a small dew. You must have heard about dew, small droplet in the morning. Dew on the tip of its structure, and these dew are jelly-like. That means if an insect steps on it, it will get stick to the dew. So this also captures the insect and fold itself and absorbs all the nutrients from the insect, especially nitrogen.
Most plants are green in color and thus they are able to make their own food. However, some plants which are present on this earth are either non-green or grown in the soil deficient in certain nutrients, especially nitrogen. So, how do these plants obtain the nutrients they need? Such heterotrophic plants depend on green plants or on other living organisms for their nutrition. Parasitic plants like Kuta and Rafflesia are heterotrophic plants which absorb nutrients from another green host plant. Kuta is a total stem parasite as its delicate thin stem twines around the stem of the host plant. On the other hand, Rafflesia is a total root parasite and grows directly on the roots of other plants such as fig. It has the world's largest flower. According to the various modes of nutrition, another group of such heterotrophic plants is that of insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants are green chlorophyllous plants which can make their own food like autotrophs. However, they fulfill their nitrogen requirement by trapping and digesting insects. All insectivorous plants have a specialized structure to capture insects, which is usually a modified leaf or part of a leaf. Some of the common examples of insectivorous plants are sundew, Venus flytrap, etc. The Venus flytrap leaf lamina is highly modified into two lobe-like structure. Each lobe has 15 to 20 hairs. The reddish inner surface attracts insects, and when insects come in contact with the leaf, the two lobes fold along the midrib in less than a second. The insect trapped in between the lobes gets digested, and the lobes again reopen for another trap. Among the carnivorous or insectivorous plants, the most amazing are the pitcher plants. The leaf of a pitcher plant is modified into a tubular pitcher-like structure with a lid to trap the insects. The inner wall lining of the pitcher has downward pointing hairs, which do not allow any insect to climb back up and escape. The bottom of the pitcher is filled with a fluid which contains digestive juices for digesting the insects. Insects are attracted towards the pitcher by its brightly colored lid. As the insect comes near the rim of the pitcher, it slips downward and gets drowned in the fluid. The leaves of sundew have drops of sticky substance called mucilage at the end of their tentacles. Insects get stuck in this mucilage and become entangled. These helpless insects then get digested. Bladderwursts are free-floating aquatic plants with leaves modified into pear-shaped bladders or sacs. The bladder has a trapdoor, which acts as a valve, and many sensitive bristles at the neck. Insects enter the bladder along with water current and get completely digested by the action of digestive juice secreted by the bladder wall. Some of the characteristics of insectivorous plants, like secretion of digestive enzymes, digestion, etc., show their close affinity with animals. However, photosynthesis and use of nitrogen bring them close to plants.
Children, now the last topic is replenishment of nutrients in the soil. So how these nutrients which are there in the soil get reduced and how it is replenished. When you cultivate a land or the plants which are present on the land takes up the nutrient, the soil becomes nutrient deficient. So it's our responsibility that we should replenish the nutrient. Nutrients in the soil are absorbed by the roots of the plants. As they are depleted, they are needed to be added from time to time to replenish the soil. This is done by adding manure or fertilizers. So what is manure? Basically, it is organic in nature. To make manure, it is very easy. You just have to dig a pit and put the waste vegetables into it and close the pit for 1 week. Once you have to open the pit and check. Again you have to close the pit for a couple of weeks, and after that you will observe that those vegetables have completely degraded or degenerated by microorganisms into small particles. So this is known as manure, and this manure is full of nutrients which is needed by plants like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Similarly, fertilizers. Fertilizers are chemically made. They are made in factories. We don't have to dig a pit. We directly make chemically, like nitrogen is directly made chemically, phosphorus is directly made chemically, potassium is directly made chemically. So this is the difference. Manure improves the texture of the soil, whereas fertilizers sometimes degrade the quality of soil. Fertilizers are man-made chemicals which are rich in nutrients. For example, urea, ammonium, sulfate, etc. Children, the replenishment of soil is also done naturally. You must have heard about the bacteria. Bacteria is microorganism. So you must have heard this bacterium known as Rhizobium, which traps the atmospheric nitrogen and converts it into soluble form. As you know, 78% of atmosphere consists of nitrogen, which is trapped by this rhizobium. As rhizobium cannot make its own food and it lives in the roots of leguminous plants. Now you must be thinking, what are leguminous plants? The pea, the green pea, or the grams or beans, etc., are all leguminous plants. Okay, so these leguminous plants to obtain food from root nodules. Thus, bacterium gets food and oxygen from the plant for its survival, and in return it fixes nitrogen for the plants. So this is not a symbiotic relationship? Yes, it is a symbiotic relationship between plant and bacteria. Now let us watch a video on it, and that will end your chapter. Thank you.
Replacement of nutrients in soil. Good evening, Grandpa. What are you doing?
Good evening, dear. Here I am adding fertilizers to the soil.
Grandpa, why do we need to add fertilizers?
Let me explain you about it. Plants absorb mineral nutrients from the soil, and these minerals keep on declining in the soil. To prevent the plants from being deprived of these minerals, we add fertilizers to the soil. They are nothing but chemically synthesized minerals. Fertilizers and manures contain plant nutrients such as nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. These nutrients need to be added from time to time to enrich the soil. Nitrogen is present in abundant amount in the atmosphere, but it cannot be utilized by the plants. Therefore, a Rhizobium bacterium which lives in the root nodules of grams, peas, mung beans and other leguminous plants fix free atmospheric nitrogen into soluble form like nitrate and nitrite. The bacteria live in a symbiotic relationship with the roots of the plants. These plants provide food and shelter to the bacteria. Another example of symbiotic relationship is lichen. It is the association of fungi and algae. The fungus provides the minerals and water along with shelter to the alga, and this in turn prepares food as it contains chlorophyll in them.